tea is steaming, so that means it's time for us to start podcasting. Nick, Bob, Bo, Ruud, Pinstripe Bowl recap brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors. Shouts out to Pella Omaha Lincoln Showroom. Make sure you go to PellaOmaha.com. The work they did in my house, fantastic. PellaOmaha.com. All right, so Nebraska has won a bowl game. First time they won a bowl game since 2014.
I couldn't even tell you.
No, did they win? No, 2015 was Riley's first year. Remember when they got in?
Yes.
We talked about they beat UCLA in the Foster Farms Bowl.
Okay.
So it's been a while, and they win 20-15 over Boston College. Now you had you had a wedding yesterday.
Yes.
Which led to you knowing did you know the final score, or did you just know at one point that it was 13-2?
I knew it was 13-2.
And you knew they won.
I snuck off and I watched it on my phone.
Got it.
Up through like then right after I heard that we won, and then I watched the end of it, but then I really watched it all again today, like on the big screen.
Okay.
Like slowly how you're supposed to. But it was I didn't get to watch it and take it all in. It's live.
What's a bummer is I wish I knew what you felt, because I'm not going to lie. As we're just going to go all over the place here with we're with recapping this thing. When Boston College blocked the punt.
Yeah.
I thought, here we go. It's going to happen again.
That would have been monumental.
Yes. Because for as much as you say, because I said it at times in the Iowa game, and you've said it in other games where you're like, when it was 20-2, it was like, Boston College can't run the ball. It just felt like they were never going to be able to score, multiple times.
That's right.
Like
That's
that.
how it felt.
And they blocked the punt, and you go, uh-oh, it's going to happen. They are going to, because then they punch it right in.
Yeah.
And then it's 20-15, and here comes Nebraska's offense on the field. 4 minutes and 11 seconds left. Boston College has 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. And you're going, I've seen this plenty of times. I know exactly what is about to happen. So I guess we'll start at the end and kind of work. Like the one thing, let's start with the positive. The positive from that was, how many times have we seen that scenario, what we're talking about, where the offense comes out there, pukes on itself, goes 3 and out, hands the ball right back to the opponent, and then they go make the game-winning drive. So they finally closed out a game, a close game.
Yes.
Which is, I think, of all the positives to take from that game, I'm going to say that that's the biggest positive thing I can take from that game was like they won, and it was a close game in which they had to make plays to close it out.
Yeah, I think there were many positives for sort of a weird situation, like a weird bowl to be in for us, and the portal thing and new coaches. It was an odd game. I thought we did play pretty good overall, like pretty good, but sort of really, really bad. The special teams plays were so bad. It's almost hard to sum up what that game was. It was such a drastic, momentum shift with a couple of those plays that like you kind of go like, what was that? But in the end, you get the W, and you don't really care much else at this point. After the season and the years we've had, I think you just take the W and you put a smile on your face and you walk off the field, and you don't really care too much how you did it.
I will say I'm fighting that, like, internally, because I'm with you. Like, I know that's how you should feel. There's still a part of me that, generally speaking, is fighting a little bit of the, but XYZ, the ABC.
Yeah.
Because before the season started, if someone would have said, well, you take 7-6 with wins over Colorado, they'll win the bowl game and they'll beat Wisconsin. Everybody probably would have taken that.
And that's what's hard to do, is remember how we felt then, and also go a year ahead from now and be like, did we care how we won that Boston College game? I don't think we will. Right. It seems to matter now, but I think, with how we've been, we're trying to get like put together records, put together sort of like progress. It's all we've been talking about is like, and even though it was ugly, it is progress to me in a way. Like we finally won the game. We got into a bowl. It's like that to me is progress. And I'm trying to remind myself that's what we wanted to see.
I think it's just as simple as right now, you lay it out all on the table, all of what Nebraska football is. There are undeniable, positive, big steps that this program has taken.
Yeah.
There are also big concerns and issues that are still there and are obviously like you can't.
Yeah.
And it's all what you kind of want to choose to focus on.
Yeah.
Like if I wanted to just like focus on all the bad stuff, I could easily paint a picture that isn't very pretty because like I still am waiting. The only thing that is frustrating is I'm going to shift my focus to the bad part of the table.
Yeah. That's
the only I am like, God, can they just play like a clean game?
Yeah.
I just want a clean game so bad. And a lot of it was a lot. When you really think the defense played pretty damn good.
I think you got to say that the defense, they looked nice. I mean, they did a good job.
Yes.
Other than some third down, they had some issues on third down, but really they played a good game.
Other than the first screen pass of the game on third down that went for 55 yards, like they moved the ball okay, but like Emmett Johnson fumbled and they took over at the 36. And the defensive stands were that. I mean, Boston College went 0 for 4 on fourth down. You had the 4th and 1 from the 9-yard line to end the first half.
Yeah,
where you stop them. You get the sack fumble from Bullock early in the third quarter that set up a touchdown. And then, of course, you had the one goal line stand at 4th and 2, 4th and goal from the 2. So, like, there's really nothing I can complain about on the defense.
And it shows that Boston College had 300 yards passing, and it doesn't feel like they had 200 yards passing.
No.
So, I mean, they had a couple of the screens that went for, good chunks that are factored into that. But, 40 yards rushing, like 47 yards rushing, that's a running team.
As I'm saying, that's a team that wants to run the ball.
So I think getting 348 yards out of Boston College, like that's a generous number from what I would have thought they had. Because they really didn't. I never felt threatened by that offense ever. Like when you watch that game, you go, no, we seemed much better. Our defense seemed much better, and being down a few guys too. It's like,
yes,
I liked what I saw out of, Butler, for Butler's first official game as a coordinator. I didn't think we stepped back at all. To me, it seemed like we almost not all the pieces looked just as good or better.
And shouts out to our buddy Willie Clefcorn. There were a lot of blitzes that like got there. It seemed like there were some well-designed, timed blitzes that actually got home. But yeah, the one thing with the defense and one thing with the whole game in general is, boy, oh boy, as this season progressed, and that game was a shining example of it. Like, goddamn, Ty Robinson got to where that guy was a hell of a fucking player.
So there are players that you will remember as time. Most of these guys, we're going to forget most of them, right? Like a good chunk of them. You got to give Ty credit for doing something that's hard. He came back as a senior, 5th-year guy when he could have probably went pro, and he came back for the program. Didn't go in the portal, he came back to set a tone, and he played. He probably had the best season out of anybody.
Oh yeah,
on our team.
I think yes,
by a pretty long,
sizable market. Yeah,
and he's made himself a lot of money in the pros, which I'm very happy he's going to get. I think he's a top 100 guy now.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he did something for this team on his own that without him, I mean, do we win? 4 games?
Honestly,
I don't know.
It sounds crazy, but like he is, and everything's relative. So let me elaborate on this. Their importance to that specific team, given that scenario.
Yeah. He's
on a short list of the last 10, 15 years of guys that like you take them off the team. And it's like, I'm talking Sue, Levante David. I mean, go through the last 15 years and go take that guy off. Like that guy's the difference between winning and losing like 3 or 4 games. I really think he's the difference.
Yeah. I mean, our run defense this year was really good, and it's because of him. Like basically, him and Nash, God, those guys, like, we've had a lot of goal line and fourth down stops this year because those guys are just big monsters that are, that are strong at the point of attack. And so I felt like, and he got better as the year went on. I go, that was everything I ever hoped he was kind of
totally agree
was going to be. And he seemed to never get it. And this year it finally came together. And then, by the end of the year, he's playing on offense.
Yes.
And then we're tough on the goal line with him in there, So I just got to give him props for doing the hard thing, coming back and making a very big difference. And he's going to be a guy that we remember now.
I agree. And I know that's not like, I'm serious. I'm not going to do like that after school special stuff of like, we'll always remember Johnny No Name back after this, we're not
Dr. James Williams. Whoop, where did he go?
Yeah. There's going to be people that are, cause we all have those people, like people that you were big in your, they were like, there was a flash in the pan of like, oh, that guy was a big deal for a little bit.
Maurice Washington. It was remember Maurice Washington? Like,
yeah. And then you go, oh yeah, he won't be an guy.
In 20 years, it'll be hard to remember him.
I think depending on where this thing goes, I think Ty Robinson and what he did is just so damn important. Yeah. And I just wanted to start with like, I don't know if they win that game without him.
I agree.
I mean, the fullback ISO short yardage thing kind of became like a pretty badass thing. Like it wasn't I'll admit it. The first time they tried it, or I want to say the first time he did it, it didn't. God, I'd have to. I can't remember the game. It didn't. Maybe they did it and maybe didn't work. And I kind of thought, okay, are we getting a little like, we're the guy who's at the brass rails, like, you know what I'd do? I'd put Ty Robinson at fullback. The drunk guy idea. It's like, I'd put Ty running back, man.
Sometimes the drunk guy idea is terrible, but there's just like rare occasion where like the drunk guy idea is so drunk and simple. It's like, I think he's on to something here. I think that was maybe the drunk guy idea.
That should be like,
who should be
court ordered. Matt Rule for 3 hours a month has to sit dead in the middle of like and just listen to drunk talk. Yeah. People are like, what I'd do, man, is I'd run Ty Robinson at the fullback ISO. And like, out of all the stuff, it'd kind of be like, Ty Robinson, fullback, short yardage.
It's like in like 2009, it was like, the Dolphins head coaches are like, what you should do? Just put Ronnie Brown at quarterback and running back to running back. Like, change the NFL. Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, maybe what if we did that? Like that, I guarantee you the first guy that thought of that was drunk.
Yeah. It was like I call this play the bummerooski, and you throw it like it's incomplete to the sideline, and then that guy picks it up and he throws it, and it's like,
or even fumble rooski.
Yeah. Why don't they just drop it and then pretend like you don't see it?
Turner Gill gets the snap. Hear me out, T.O. Turner gets the snap, puts it on the ground. Nobody's seen nothing. Nobody says nothing.
Just run the other way.
Everybody runs, go, hey, over here, everybody. We're all over here.
This drunk is amazing. Who is this drunk?
And then who is the lineman that picked it up? Steinkooler. Yeah. And then Dane, the main Dane, he's going to pick it up and run for a touchdown, man.
He runs 4-3, I heard.
but the Ty Robinson fullback thing became cool, and just, I don't know, I wanted to make sure, like, the only thing I really wanted in this pod was to, like, give Ty some love, just because I don't think they win.
But here's what's weird. I think as the year went on, and this game, it felt, because he didn't need to play in this game, and he did, and it felt like he just seemed like he was on another level. Like, you could just see the way he's moving right now. You're like, it's kind of just great to see somebody like flourishing.
Yes.
And he is flourishing.
Right. Okay. So the defense, I don't even know where to really like, you're right. I mean, no Butler, my guy. I can't believe they survived.
Award, the Citizenship Award winner.
Not a problem. Yeah. Bayer, not a problem, because Vincent Shavers.
Yeah. Shavers is they were talking about him at the start of the year as he's like the most physical linebacker as a freshman. So I think this guy has a chance to be a pretty good player.
I mean, he was balling.
Yeah, he can fly.
Willis McGahee was flying around. Donovan Jones at corner, and you could tell Bill O'Brien was testing that dude.
Yeah.
So some young guys played well on defense. I'm just even shouts at Caleb Binning, got in the game, saw Caleb out there. Yeah. Shouts out DB for listening here. I just the defense, I'm not even sure if I even had to poke a hole or anything.
It was a good one game sample of Butler.
Yep.
get a few of those young guys in the field, right? The McGahees, the Shavers, just to get a sample of next year. But maybe what's going to be as fun as anything is like talking about, well, what happens now? Because Nick, this isn't going to be like, oh, we know what the team is next year. It's like, this is going to be completely different. And even by the time we get to spring, Nick, it's going to be a different team.
Well, yes,
it's going to be a completely different team.
And that's what's weird about this is like, it feels like there's this steady build, like what in your mind, you think you're building towards something with something. And in a lot of ways, next year is going to be, you're not starting over completely with, it's not that renders the last 2 years meaningless. And there isn't, I'm not saying there's not anything you can carry from the first 2 years into year three, but year three is going to be brand new offensive coordinator, brand new defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of, they already got, they got Kentucky's wide receiver in the portal. They got Cal's leading wide receiver in the portal. So they're probably your number one and number two. Two D linemen in the portal.
Yes.
3 D linemen in the portal that are like projected to maybe play, right away. The Missouri, maybe this guy you're talking about, the number one, he was the number one edge rusher.
And then they got like an all Southern Conference player. I think he's from like Louisiana. Yeah. Yep. And then they got a kid out of safety out of Georgia.
They got and
Idaho.
And they got a dude from Oklahoma that's like a versatile like safety in the box.
Take Gifford's place at the Rover. His name's Dason, I think McCullough. He's a kid. I remember him just because we recruited him hard a few years ago. He's like a 6'5".
He looks the part.
DB. I mean, he's one of those guys that I think he was one of those freakazoids. But we already got like 5 or 6 big pieces for defense and receiver. That's a big chunk of your team, right? So if you got like 7 starters already, you kind of just on the market.
Yeah.
Like that's a big chunk of your team.
I still am going to be interested to see to tie it back to Ty. Like that's a big hole to fill. Even the polar bear too. Like
I know
it's going to be. I don't know if Van Poppel is gonna take that leap there, but I guess
Van Poppel's going to have to like as an interior guy. But like they that's why they got these guys in the port. Like I think they just didn't feel like we have like the interior guys right now. So I know the one guy that we got, he was like at least an all conference, for the
so far. I feel like they've done well in the portal, but okay. So with the defense, they're not in as I go back to my table analogy of the good on one side and the bad on the other. The defense, And I just think Ty, we can't even, I don't think you can begin to fully sink your teeth into just how valuable that guy was and how valuable he was in that Boston College game. The thing that is so hard, like special teams was so, I thought I heard Sean Callahan give this, it was 10 blocked kicks this year. Nebraska had 10 kicks blocked.
So is our special teams coach like
Ed Foley? Yeah.
I don't know. They haven't announced if he's officially back yet, but like,
and
to me, it's like that is an all-time bad season.
This is as bad. I mean, I could go through it, but it was in every punt return, punt, kickoff return, all those things. Nebraska ranks like basically dead last in the Big Ten and in the 100s. And then they get 10 kicks blocked. I mean, it has almost cost them. I mean, it almost cost them this game. It cost them the Iowa game. And so so there was a blocked extra point return for 2.
Yeah.
There was a blocked punt, obviously. Then there was the fake punt, and then the other time where like the little light flickered of you're gonna blow it. You're gonna was the dumbass fake field goal.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what are you doing?
Because when you look back at it now, right? Like if we take the 3, then you're at 23 points. And they're at 15. And like you can't lose the game, then, right? Like you can't lose the game if the worst happens at the end. It's like, so like, I don't know. And it's like, and you get a like, I just think
and that's the stuff where I just don't know whether like that's the stuff where you can go, it's the bowl game, we're having fun. Like Okay, but like you still, I mean, sure. Like I get that on the one fake punt, and it ended up working and it was fine. But like the fake field goals, like, I mean, you think Buschini's going to run that bitch 12 yards in slog and get, come on. It just, to me, that was like, you are asking for it, man. You are asking for a team that has had a hard time closing out games and keeping and winning close games. You're playing with your food and you are asking a team to hang around, and it almost ended up costing them. So to me, the fake field goal was like, what are you guys doing? And then the fake, then getting the punt blocked, obviously almost cost them the game. And then obviously whenever you have instead of it being 14-0, it being 13-2 is like a momentum shifter a little bit, you know? So yeah, I mean, Rule said after the game that special teams needs a complete and total overhaul.
Think about that. But to me, it's like, if you have a special teams coach, like I don't know. It's like, to me, that's a problem.
They need to have a real punt returner and punt return game.
Yes.
And they need to have a real kickoff returner and kickoff return game. Now they've already gone in the portal and they got a long snapper and maybe even a punter too. I think they got a punter.
I believe they did get a punter.
But
yeah, Jack McAllister, where's he from? Washington.
So they got a long snapper and a punter.
Good start.
Which is a great start. I thought I meant to go rewatch it. I thought it looked like Buschini dropped. I didn't think it looked like a bad snap. It looked like he dropped it.
He dropped it.
And
I mean, it may have been a little wet and everything, but
yes,
that's your job.
Have you ever played, other than you and I playing in our all-star football game? And
nothing colder than that, colder and wetter than that.
I've never been, I mean, I may have been zero hair on my armpits, but I've never felt more like a man than when I left that football game.
We battled that day. In the mud.
You and I mean,
was it 8th grade?
Yeah,
7th grade?
8th grade all-star midget football, and we played in literally, you thought those conditions were bad? This was laughably bad conditions. Why they made a bunch of like 12-year-old boys play, like, you're going to play in this.
It's probably good for us. You're like, oh God.
Tom Ruud was like, probably loved it. He was like, hey, cold there, pickle? I'm like, yes, I am very cold. But yeah, that
was where like just getting the snap wins you the game.
That's where
at that age,
we won the game because I could actually get the snap and get it to you. And then you were tougher than everybody. And we're like, I am going to deal with the pain of the.
Yeah, I think the other team fumbled. They just would keep fumbling.
Yeah, right? And I could get the snap and hand it to you, and you rushed for like 200, and I didn't fumble.
Get the snap. That's the key. But
that's all we did. But yeah, I thought it looked like Buschini just bobbled the snap on the missed PAT that then led to 2 points. But the special teams, it's unacceptable. I mean, it's seriously it's if they have solid special teams all year, I mean, it's maybe a different story. Maybe they could have won 8 or 9 games.
Yeah, I hope. I don't know if either of these receivers we just are bringing in are punt return.
Yeah, it's a good call. We need, because I mean, on the thing that's hard is, I mean, on paper, Barney, but does Barney, like, you would think Barney would be good back there, but punt returning is a different animal.
That should be his animal.
Agree.
That should be, like, he's not like a traditional wide receiver. He's sort of like he's the jitterbug. I mean,
and the thing that as my dad, the Fremont Flyer, former punt returner,
your dad was a great, like, he had the instinct.
But his whole thing was like, punt returning is, the good punt returners know how to cut like into the crowd.
Yeah, you got to like know how to like go, like, going up the field past people is an art. It's an art. Like, you have to have a vision. Like, you got to have vision and be able to see the cutback and see the the setup in the angle.
Because you're not going to get, it's not every punt return is going to be catch and then banana loop to the sideline.
That's what guys that don't know how to return.
Yes, that's bad. That's bad punt return. The good punt returners, you watch Johnny the Jet, you watch all these different guys that know what they're doing.
Yeah. DeJuan Gross, I mean, he's our record setter here because that guy was like, he was so good at it. Yes. He really was.
Well, even goddamn, maybe 2 months ago, I stumbled upon a Devin Hester highlight montage. Holy crap. Mm-hmm. But like all and I'm going to bring this back to Barney here in a second, guys. Like, you have to know there's an art to it and how to cut into a crowd. And the thing I think Barney'd be good at is Barney sticks his face. Barney will go into the pile, and like,
maybe he can't catch the punts very well.
That's what I worry about. So, because they try to Dockers back there quite a bit, and we all know how that worked out. They may be good pants, but they're not good punt returners. Back after this. So the special teams is really bad, and it almost cost him on Saturday. So
it also took a little bit of the juice out of that game. You know, instead of that, and you get one more score, we're feeling even better about ourselves too, right? Like, you know.
And then there's the offense that there's some good. There's still some things like there's no doubt. I don't think anybody would argue with it that they still got a ways to go on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
Couple of things. I still am excited about Holgerson, and on just a very simple kind of like anecdotal, a very subjective thought here. It's really fun to have there's now the last handful of games. There's about 2 to 3 plays a game where I go, oh, great play call.
Yeah.
And I just don't feel like that was said a lot over the course of the last year and a half, where you go, just schemed him. Even the touchdown swing pass to Emmett, it's a hell of a call.
Well, and Nick, here's the 2 things. Like, I wrote down 2 things. Basically, I watched the whole game. I wrote down. Basically,
I got 2 thoughts for you.
I have 2 thoughts. One, it's basically that, like, Holgerson finds a way to get easy yards on easy throws.
Yeah.
Like, there's something about his offense. It's like, it's not like a difficult play. It's just like something is built into the scheme where, like, he just gets quick, easy yards.
Agree.
And the second thing is the ball comes out on time in his offense.
Mm-hmm.
If you've noticed that, compare it with Satterfield in the previous games, since Holgerson has started, like, joined the staff, the ball comes out. And I think that, to me, is the biggest key for Dylan, is like, if you keep Dylan in rhythm on schedule, he's very efficient.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he does well. So I'm excited to see what an offseason with Holgerson and his philosophy of, like, simple, like easy manufactured plays with this sort of, like, keep Dylan,
right.
Keep Dylan, keep the ball
in rhythm,
keep him in rhythm, because Dylan, like, I think when Dylan's in rhythm, that's when he's got the gift of being able to, like, see the field and, like, manage the game, right? He's not a guy that you have to, like, you know, baby. Like, I think he's got the arm angles, he's got the
some of those short tunnel screens, different, like, those aren't, like, although they're short throws, they're harder throws than you think they are, because sometimes they require touch, a different arm angle, some require zip, and he's got a good feel for those things. Even they ran that tight end delay screen to Lindenmeyer. That's a great
example. That's such a easy play, and it's well timed, and it's an easy way to pick up a first down. And I feel like we just didn't have enough of that. And Holgerson gets us into these, like I say, these plays. It's just like, it doesn't seem like much, but his schemes it produces some easy first downs. Like the swing pass, he uses the running backs in the pass game so good.
With the offense, I wanted to start there with Holgerson. I thought I'm very excited about him.
Yeah.
With Dylan Raiola, there's a lot of interesting things to talk about with him. I mean, I thought it was the broadcast brought up. They asked Dylan what he needs to work on and Holgerson what Dylan Raiola needs to work on, and they both said the same thing, and they said his body.
Yeah.
He needs to get into better shape, I think. Like, he needs to get faster, he needs to slim down a little bit. Because he's still, like you said, there's no doubt when he's in a rhythm, I mean, the talent is undeniable. But it was nice to see they took some shots down the field, but he missed some deep balls that guys were open. The interception was not a very good throw.
That was his worst one, was that interception.
Yes.
Sort of just a lob up. The deep throws, like the one to Barney, is like, that's one where, like I said, I don't know if the receiver needs to be able to get to it. And Barney's not like, he's a little bit small, and he may have got interfered with. But we've had a little trouble with the deep ball.
Dialing in with that.
I think he's got to get dialed. But, like, I think there's some people, I've kind of heard rumblings, even at the wedding, I heard a couple people, mention that, like, oh, well, I have a friend that thinks, and I'm just like, no, like,
like rumblings, like questioning if he's
we need to get a quarterback. Like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
I will say,
you got your quarterback. You need to build this quarterback up, right? We need to give him some weapons.
Yeah.
And you got to let Holgerson do what he does, which is, let this offense just let him dink and dunk and take what we can get the easy yards. And Dylan's got the talent and the vision. I think he's got those things that not many people have. We still have to trust that and let this guy develop. He's still a young dude, right?
I think two things can be true. I mean, I think we can all point out some of the up and downs and the things that oh man, I thought that would be better and I thought this would maybe be better. But I also can say like, no, he's the quarterback of the future. Like you do the last position that you need to worry about is the starting quarterback spot.
Correct.
But I thought they missed the intentional grounding. I thought that was intentional grounding.
Yeah, and this was my thought on that too, right? So he threw it on the same line as there was a player, but if you throw it so up high, like you can't do that. Like if he throws it on a rope above their heads out of bounds,
right?
It's definitely not intentional grounding, but like you got to make it look like you're throwing it to them. You can't throw that moon ball out of bounds.
He threw a couple of those. Even the Banks made an all-world play on one where it looked like Dylan was getting kind of like sacked or was going to get sacked, and he just heaved one, and Banks came back and got it. The other guy Banks got a lot better. The final like 4 or 5 games, I don't know if it was Holgerson with him as well. Banks got to where he was balling.
Banks had a good game.
Had a good finish to the season. But yeah, with Dylan, I mean, he's not a finished product. There's a lot there. I think an offseason and being with Holgerson is going to really help him. And
what's he weighing?
That's a good question.
Dylan Raiola weight.
I mean, is he at 220?
I mean, he's probably more than that. 230. Yeah. He should shoot for like 15, dropping 15.
I think, yes. Yeah, he's listed at 6'3", 230. And it just doesn't, some people like are 230 and they still like, some people wear it better than others. Like he looks like he needs to lose 15, 20 pounds.
And like even on some of those scrambles, right? Like it just felt like, even that fourth quarter scramble, like if you're just a little bit quicker, you dive for it. Remember he slid short on that last third down. And I go, that could have been a well, that's what,
because it's interesting that final. Let's just go into that drive because we talked about the start, but we didn't get inside of it. I do really like that. So again, 4 minutes, 11 seconds, 20-15. BC's got 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. And I do kind of like that Holgerson came out and threw it on first down.
Yeah.
Like to just kind of like set the tone of being, and Fedoni caught it and it was a nice game. But then what did you think? The Dylan Raiola, the first scramble. That was a weird sequence.
That was not that was like,
I thought that was a bad call.
It was a bad call. I mean, that may have like sealed the game for Boston College. That's why O'Brien was so pissed is like,
right.
They had all the timeouts and the clock was on their side still. And they called that as a late hit.
The thing that like, I was so confused because I thought when the flag was first thrown that it was going to be a targeting penalty. And then what I thought was going to happen is targeting, they'd review it, they'd see that it wasn't targeting, and then it would be game on. But instead, they call a personal foul late hit.
Oh, I mean, it was so bad. But I mean, really, like running Dylan, taking that risk paid off because if that's not a quarterback, it doesn't even matter. Like if it's still like Dylan slides late and they give him the call because they just like they see a quarterback and they start pulling their flag before the guy even thinks of sliding.
No, it was a bad call.
But good job by Dylan, like drawing the call. And then his reaction was almost, I think his reaction may have gotten him the call.
That's what I didn't think about it that way because his reaction was bizarre because it didn't seem like it was as
like he thought it was late and he was like, oh,
and it was like egregious. And
maybe because it like kind of knocked his helmet off or something. He thought it was later than it was or something.
It's always funny to me when dudes that aren't really about like, Dylan, are you going to fight this guy?
You got the call.
But
I know
it was kind of a
surprised,
weird.
yeah.
It was a weird reaction.
You don't see that at quarterbacks.
No, and it just was, and it didn't seem like it was that bad of a play. But yeah, it was big. I mean, that was 15 yards. So now all of a sudden the ball's at the Boston College 45-yard line. Like that was, so I saw some people like, oh, that play ended up not making a difference. I'm like, yeah, it did. That was like a huge play. And then 2 downs later, it was pretty hilarious. Dylan Raiola keeps it again and slides short.
Too early this time.
Way too early.
But that one, like when it's game on the line, you go head first. You get that.
I was going to say,
he'll learn from that, but that's one of those that like,
come on, man, the game's on the line. You got to go
on the line. You can't
first
slide.
Down wins the game.
You can't slide unless you're 5 yards past the line.
Right. If you want to get the first down and then slide, fine. But that needed to be,
But that is when I say this guy's still young and has a lot to learn. Like those are the moments where like he's still young enough to make that mistake where he's like thinking too many thoughts. Like I need to slide because that's what quarterbacks do instead of being like my life. I got to give my life to get that first down.
This a first down wins the game. And you got to go make that happen. So yeah, I thought it was just a weird, it was like I said at the start, it was great and super positive and super needed to close out a game, win and have one of these one-score moments and you actually emerge victorious. But it was kind of a bizarre drive to get to that point. Now, it was really cool to end it with you bring Ty Robinson in, you bring Ramir, who's from
Jersey,
from that area. He seals it. Like that was a cool way to kind of cap off the game.
Yeah, that's going to be basically like I don't know if he'll have a chance even in the pros, but that gives him like that gives him a moment. Like that's how he gets to finish his career potentially. That's amazing. That's like an awesome cap to a career.
6 years at Nebraska. Like that dude and everybody. I think like I'm sure Barrett. I think all of Frost guys loved Ramir. Like I think Ramir was one of those guys like through different coaches, different staffs, but Ramir was like a no drama, dependable. I mean, we nicknamed him Michael Myers because he just was like he kept on coming and coming and
he's
coming.
Got some really good. I mean, his Michigan game in 21 was like one of the best running back performances we've had in years.
Yes.
So he's had some really good moments.
MVP of the Pinstripe Bowl, dude.
Yeah.
That's exciting. And
Very
so, couple of other things before we say goodbye. How about Harburg at tight end? He had a great block.
Yeah.
Coming in motion and looked like there's a difference. And you know this, there's a difference between guys that are like big and strong and dudes that'll actually like go hit somebody.
Yeah.
And he looked like it looked natural for him coming in motion and like,
he
cracking a guy.
It's going to be interesting to see what a off season of, because not that quarterbacks don't work out hard. I think they just work out a little differently sometimes because they just don't have to do the same things everybody else
totally
does
different.
Always.
Yeah,
but like it'll be fun to see if like he really hits the weights
right
and really gets his fundamentals down as a receiver, like how to block because he's just out there winging it right there.
Yes,
but like how to block, how to run routes, work on his hands a little bit, like could he be a nice little factor? Maybe. Like I don't know. Like,
but what's hard is because I agree because even like his route, like he looks pretty. I guess I'm just amazed at how natural he looks at those.
He looked more natural than I thought because sometimes when he runs the ball,
he doesn't look
as natural.
No, I completely. Even though he's effective at times running the ball, he's not a natural runner.
Yeah, I think
that's how kind of Taylor Martinez was.
He's like, a good athlete,
very good,
and that's where maybe the tight end spot will be good for him. It's a little less on like the pure like run the ball, and it's more like, hey, you run your routes.
Yes,
can you catch it?
But now that position, like Canton's back, assuming.
Yep.
Carter Nelson is going to factor into that thing. Lindenmeyer an underclassman?
Sophomore.
Yeah, I mean, so you got Lindenmeyer,
and
now Harburg's being thrown into that equation, which is going to make things interesting.
He'll be another piece, though. I think Harburg will be more like a, utility.
Yeah. The other thing that'll be interesting now with Harburg shifting to tight end is like they do need to go get another quarterback. Not saying this is going to go get a guy to like. Don't you think
they got a portal guy?
Did they get a portal guy?
They got a guy. Let's see. It is. Let's see the name. Quarterback Marcos Davila, and he is from Purdue. So so he committed on December 20th.
Okay, good awareness by me.
Yeah.
Well, because they needed, with obviously Kalen going. I think he went to Virginia. And Heine's going spending his time at tight end. They needed someone else there. But so I wanted to talk about Heine. While it was puzzling, I'm not going to be. I'm not ready to like cry over Dowdell leaving.
No, Dowdell, I think benefited from like to me, it's like we gave him a lot of touchdowns more than he like dominated, right? So like you can find another Dowdell. Now the question is like, can we find somebody in the portal that is a game changer?
Because I think they need to go get a running back.
They do. They need to let Emmett be their like third down receiving back, change up back. I don't know that he needs to be our lead.
I think there are some people that think like RB number 1, man. That's the guy. And I'm like,
he is if we don't find anybody.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to be if that's the case. But I think they need to go in the portal and get a
we're a better
starting
team.
running back.
We're a better team if Emmett Johnson's our changeup.
Yes. And so the reason I brought that up is like, while it was surprising, and I think just money, like it was Kentucky threw a whole bunch of money at him. And so he felt like he had to go. I'm not as how does it impact the team? Dowdell he was okay.
He didn't change it. He
was okay. I mean, the guy had 12 touchdowns, but again, a lot of those were kind of spoon fed to him.
He was our goal line guy. So he got the touchdowns, but like he never held a long one. He never just took the bell cow and said like, let me do this for a whole game. Like he just never did it.
So to kind of wrap up, I don't think there's really anything else with like the game itself. I mean, or did you have any other?
So I was like, and I didn't have an answer, but I was like, what was the meaning of this game? Was one of the questions I asked myself. And I was like, I was trying to think like, what did this game mean in the end?
Because I'm not sure if you listened to I did a solo pod getting ready for this game. I said that I thought this game mattered. I was going to be in the camp that like, I think this matters.
I do.
And I'm not, I think it feels hypocritical to sit here and go, Nebraska's got to get in the bowl. They got to get in the bowl. How about this bowl drought? You got to get in the bowl and then get there and go, this game doesn't really matter. It matters. And so now how you would answer then the question you asked, like the meaning of this game, I guess we could take that in a lot of different directions, but I think if just let's say it plays out, they get stuffed on 4th and short. Boston College takes over, drives down, wins the game. Another 1-score loss. Nebraska loses 21-20.
The offseason feels more daunting versus does the offseason feel better? It feels better now.
It feels better. And I'm just tired of living in the world of next year's the year, man. How about this? How about that guy? How about this guy coming in? Have you heard about that guy? I'm just like, at some point, nothing should override or supersede or be more important than the actual football games.
Yes.
And this was an actual football game against Boston College. And they won it, which is great. And undeniable progress. But before I get into like, what did you have any, or you were just
I wrote down,
posing?
We got to a bowl. We got 7 wins. We have shown progress. That's literally I wrote down.
Well, I think
but I think it's important. I mean, it is important. I think what's tricky is so many of the guys that were on the team this season are not going to be there next season. But there is a core group that this game will help them next year.
Agree.
The Shavers, the McGahees, Dylan, right?
Emmett.
Barney, Emmett.
Yeah,
like you start naming like some of the big core pieces. This game is going to help those guys. The psyche of those guys is going to be important. Now, from there, the thing that's so different is that we're buying pieces.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be like, we'll get Samari Torre. We got one guy in the portal.
Yeah,
or we get with this recruiting class, maybe one freshman will play from this recruiting class. We're buying like 7 to 10 starters. Now that is way different. So I do think this game means a lot. it's going to affect us, but it's a different world now too.
Agreed.
So that's what's so hard is it is a different world. Like the rebuild it's with your pocketbook more than it is with just your culture.
That's what's so hard about, I think, trying to sink my teeth into all this stuff of like, what is not everything that was positive from this year can necessarily carry over into next year, but there is some stuff that can carry over, and trying to make heads or tails of that is
and
hard to do.
Stuff can carry
and
over
negative
too.
Stuff
so
can
that's
carry
why
over.
it's important to get more positive than the negative going.
Yes, because that's still you can. What you wrote down is perfect. Like from the standpoint of like, they got to a bowl, they won a bowl game, they beat Wisconsin, they beat Colorado.
7
wins. Progress, undeniable. But there also is this thing of, I still don't know. I guess I'm just, and maybe I'm holding out for Cindy Crawford to come over. I'm at the bar and I'm like, she's going to come over eventually. And some guy's like, you need to leave. But I'm just not playing clean football. Yeah. Like it's just still doesn't look and feel how I kind of was.
I think the offense looks cleaner. I mean, think about our offense. Like for a couple years there, like it just felt like, I mean, think about last year. Like,
oh God,
Sims
last year was
fumbles,
like as bad as it's ever been.
Like, I do think Holgerson's offense looks way cleaner. I mean, Dylan had one throw and Emmett got stripped. But like, I mean, like execution wise, we're not jumping off sides as much. Like, I feel like the ball's coming out. That part looked good. So I think it's the special teams is where we're not freaking
the special teams,
like,
and then just the clutchness too, it just is still there. And it just was the other thing that we talk about why this game mattered. It was going to be a pretty big thud to end year 2, starting 5-1 and finishing the year going 1 what would that be, 6? That'd have been bad.
That'd been brutal.
And so it's important that you won 2 of your last 3. There is a story you can tell yourself that is very real of Satterfield made the change. I mean, Holgerson gets the change at USC, and they go 2-2 down the stretch.
Yep.
And so you can point to that. So I just, it's weird. It's like and not say this led to anything, but I think about how you felt after the 2009 Holiday Bowl. They won 33-0 over Arizona.
Yeah.
It is year 2 of Pelini. They got in the Big 12 championship game. Should have been. I know these are different worlds, but what I'm saying is like, that was like, dog, it's rolling. Here we go. Yeah. Like I want to feel that. And I'm just not, there's just, it still feels like the same old Nebraska in some ways, but it doesn't in other ways.
Yeah, the change. This is where college football itself is changing in a way. Like I was talking to somebody about this. I was like, NIL started, and it was like some things started happening, but this year, it's there. It's happening.
Yeah,
it is
it's crazy.
Crazy free agency.
Yes,
and this is the new world. So what's so crazy about it is, we have to think differently about the game in general, because things are going to change faster. So that's where the slow build is not going to be the slow build anymore, because it's always going to be changing. So in some sense, it's who's got the pockets, the deep pockets, and which programs can sort of manage the chaos.
Right.
Who can manage sort of like this moment. And I mean, Matt Rule to me seems like a guy that,
he seems like he's
built for it. He seems like he's like, I recognize I need to lean into this. I'm going to lean in.
Right.
Because there might be guys that fight it and they're going to suffer the consequences.
Totally.
If you fight this, you're going to lose.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm there's this like push and pull going on in my head of like understanding that like undeniable progress would have taken it in a heartbeat, 7 wins, win a bowl game, beat Colorado, beat Wisconsin, would have taken it in a second. but then they're just, and then everything that you're saying about Rule, I feel like anytime I listen to him in the press conference, blown away. Anytime I see a chasing three thing when he gets up in front of the team, the things he says, all this stuff just blown away. And then just, I feel like more often than not, I leave Saturdays wanting a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that is I'm having a hard time with. If that's fair. I'm not, and I'm just being honest with you guys like that.
You know what you see. Like you see what you see, right? You watch other teams, you watch us, and you're just like, I want something else.
There's that last little, and I just think it's like,
I think it's 3 players. It's like 3 really good players. Like, give me a running back, a receiver, and
it's
a real good D end, and
it's serviceable, consistent special teams, and 2 to 3 real difference makers.
Real pros that are just like flashing in, like, a D end that's getting the sacks to close a game, a QB and a wide receiver were like in the 2 minutes, like let's go get it. Let's go get it done.
And a real running back that is
I think we're closer than we think, but it just feels like it has been the slowest, longest slog that we've ever been through. But I don't know. I don't know that even with the transfers we got that we have those players yet. But I do feel like we're moving. We're moving in the direction.
You had to take a step this year. Like, to me, this year was all about, like, of course, everybody wants it to be a big step, but you had to take some kind of a step.
Yeah, I'd argue they missed to take the big step. They had a chance to.
That's a great
psychologically,
point.
They had a chance to get to that 8, 9, 10 wins. They really did. I mean, those games are so winnable. They weren't ready for that. They were ready for this step.
Yes.
They were ready for the 7 wins. It was a baby step, but it was a big baby step.
That's a good way. Maybe that's what it is. I think what's frustrating is it felt like the big step was there. And they didn't make it. And that's frustrating, but that doesn't take away from the fact that they did take a
just beat Illinois, beat UCLA, and beat Iowa, and you're a 10-win team.
There was 8 or 9 wins, realistically speaking,
easy
out there. And so that's what's frustrating. But we also can't lose sight of there was a step forward.
Had to take the step. So we wanted them to take the 9-10 win step, which was there. 8, 9, 10. That was all there for them. In the playing out of the season was there. But the step that they could not take, to me, was the one they just took.
Yep.
They just took it.
And
they took that little baby step to get to the bowl, and then the win. 7 wins, bowl champions. Give us something, like, even for recruiting, Nick, this helps.
I couldn't agree more. That's why I said before, this matters. Like, everybody that was trying to poo-poo this game, like, no, given the state of Nebraska's football program, it matters. And so not only playing in this game, but winning this game. So when we look back, winning that Wisconsin game mattered, and then winning this game mattered.
Well, I mean, even like watching today, rewatching, and then like the post game, it's Booger McFarland saying, like, you got to be excited if you're Nebraska. Like, there's like, the future is bright. He's talking about that, about Nebraska.
Right.
That's the taste that, like, is left in his mouth. That should be in our mouths. Like, we are having, like, it is a positive momentum. Like, we need to be excited.
Did you feel like 2005 was the Alamo Bowl, right? Or was did you feel like you guys go win the Alamo Bowl?
Oh yeah.
Like, there's,
you feel it,
for
man.
sure
feel it. You for sure feel like, okay, everybody's basically coming back after we just, won a big game. It's like, now let's go. Like, that's how you feel. You go and you win that game. You guys I'm sure it was fun as hell. It like, the locker room after the game was fun as hell. Everybody, then, winter conditioning is always a bear, but like, you just feel better about yourself. Yeah, and so, but you're right. That's good. That's a good way I like talking these things out with you, because that's what the big step was there. They didn't make it. We didn't. We weren't ready to take it,
but they had to. It would have been, guys. It would have been bleak, and not if they wouldn't have got to a bowl, or even if they would have squandered this game yesterday. Like, it's not good, and they made that step forward. So, Pinstripe Bowl champs. By the way, someone needed Matt Rule confetti. Like,
I love it. I loved it.
So much confetti on his face. He's like, yeah. I mean, it's
was it in the Gatorade bottle or how
I don't know what all of a sudden. Yeah, it's big, thick confetti. Boy, it's amazing to think that a bowl yesterday it was like 60 and sunny in Lincoln. And imagine watching a bowl game and going like, boy, I wish they should be playing. It'd be better conditions here in Lincoln for this bowl game than where it was horrific conditions. The one end zone had standing water.
I do love football games. So when like by the end of the game, like there's like the running backs or like the guys that they're covered in like the mud and the colors. Like there's like colors and there's like that's the ultimate.
The one Boston College linebacker, like at one point he stuffed a screen or something. And it was like his body was basically like falling apart, and he just like got up.
His body's like retirement from the game of football,
and he just was like,
"Would you mind telling my the brain inside the body that I'm?" The body's
like, "It's over. It's done. We're done. Okay, we are done." And he was covered, but his jersey was just covered in crap.
Yeah, it's like I feel like old school, you get more of the grass stains and stuff like more consistently. Nick, you don't see it much now, so I love it.
Some of those slide, like people would slide and fall, and they would slide for like 10 yards seemingly. It was like a man's man football game, and that's also why it made me like just Ty. Like, goddamn, Ty ended up being just a savior for this group. But okay, 55 minutes, we're in, we're out. Speak now, or we are like turning the page to the off season, and here we go. We'll start talking about other stuff here.
I'm looking forward to 2025. The new year is coming soon, and it's a new era for the Huskers.
Maybe we'll record one more pod, kind of like a retrospect. I always like looking back, like biggest game, turning point, MVP, like different stuff. I love creating different. Maybe we'll have like an award, like a 2024 award show pod for Husker football.
Maybe like a stamp the 2024 year-end club. Like who earned it throughout the year that you like give the official club.
That. We'll do that. We will do that. We will shelve that. We'll do that later on. So okay. Should we go get in the confetti with Rule? Let's go.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.